Hey y'all. So I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I've mentioned on my channel before, but is something that is very near and dear to me, and that is choosing to be a survivor and not a victim. And I'm sure we've all had that person in our life that bad things are always happening to them. They always say bad things are going to happen. They're always waiting for the next shoe to drop. And part of that comes from a victim mentality. Let me read you the definition. So I thought this quote was helpful for just identifying the two. It says, a victim refers to someone who has experienced harm or trauma, emphasizing the passive role of being affected by an event, while a survivor describes someone who has not only experienced harm, but has also actively moved forward and begun the process of healing and recovering, highlighting their resilience and agency in the face of adversity. Now, the truth is that all of us go through hard things. All of us go through, I don't know if all of us, but a lot of us go through trauma, and a lot of us go through trauma from childhood. And so, we are always faced with choices in life. Life is all about choices. That's what E40 said, right? The rapper. He said, life is all about choices. You have to choose whether you want to keep going or whether you want to give up. And I've always heard someone say this, but they say that giving up is harder than moving forward. You have to really try to give up. You have to really just stop caring to give up. And I've had people in my life who've done just that. And as much as you try to help a person, as much as you try to speak life into a person and to lift their spirits up, if they're constantly hating on themselves or not able to love themselves, then it's kind of a lost cause. And I'm going to get into some of the things that you can identify for yourself if you have a victim mentality or if you have a survivor mentality. And just speaking from my personal experience, like all the things that I've gone through in my life, as much as they have hurt me and as much as they have been out of my control, it at the same time going through those things and getting to the other side and getting to a point of self-love and self-peace and happiness within my own self, I've realized that I am stronger as a person. And I hate the saying that adversity makes you stronger, because for a lot of people, adversity makes them fragile and broken, and adversity makes them, or trauma makes them, broken inside. And it takes a lot of therapy, and it takes a lot of help and resources to get back to a stable place when someone else has harmed you in an abusive, violent way. So I just think it's interesting in my own life how I've seen certain people in my life that have adapted to change and adapted and sought out healing for themselves, because once again, no one's gonna force you to heal. No one's gonna hold a gun to your head and be like, you have to heal from this if you want a good life. Those are all choices you have to make. If you don't want to heal, you're never going to. And I'm not talking about taking time to process all of your human emotions. There's a time and a place for everything. And when I was going through a debilitating illness that was completely out of my control, that was very traumatizing to me, I reached a point where I felt like that was my rock bottom. I've actually reached a couple rock bottoms. And through each of them, I've learned something different about myself. And with the right help and with the right resources, which I'm very blessed and privileged to have really good people in my life that helped me through it. But it was a lonely road. And not everyone can go with you into the darkness. I lost a lot of friends along the way. I lost a lot of people. I lost a lot of, even some of my closest friends couldn't stick it out with me through some of my hardest, darkest moments. And so when we look at being a victim or a survivor, a survivor is someone who gets through to the other side and who learns character and builds character from going through these hardships. So many people in life have not had it easy, and there's people that have not been set up to succeed by either their parents, by their environment. They have not been set up to succeed, and in a lot of ways they've been set up to fail, but they defy all odds and continue to believe in themselves, and maybe have one other person that truly believes in them, that pulls them out of that hole and shows them the light. And so let me go ahead and read you guys some of the things that you can identify in yourself if you are of having a victim mentality or if you are having a survivor mentality. And we're going to start with the victim mentality. So this goes to avoiding responsibility, placing blame elsewhere, making excuses, not taking responsibility, reacting to most life hurdles with "it's not my fault." I've seen this toxicity play out in you know, someone that I was acquainted with at one point, kept making these horrible decisions for herself and for her life. And, I think it was coming a lot out of brokenness from trauma from childhood. But she continued to kind of spiral down and make these terrible decisions for herself. And then, when talking about these decisions, it was almost like, she took herself out of the responsibility of, well, this just happened to me. Life just happened to me, and you're so lucky that you made your choices because, life just happened to me, and you're so lucky that life gave you, like when in her mind, life gave you uh a better set of cards, when in actuality, I literally have a disability. I didn't get handed a great set of cards, but me being who I am, I was very careful, just with the choices that I made in life. I was careful not to make my life worse than it already was, and so let's go to the next one. It says not seeking possible solutions. This is huge. I don't know if you've ever talked to somebody like a friend or something, and they're telling you their problem and you come up with a solution, or you try to like give them a solution, and they just spit it back in your face. I know there's times where we all need to vent, and not all of us need solutions all the time, but when there's a constant problem, some people complain about the same problem day in and day out without ever looking for solutions to the problem. They just want to complain about it. And so not seeking possible solutions, and feeling like things are completely out of your control when you're in the driver's seat of your life, it's just not an empowered position. And for myself, there was a time when I wallowed. There was a time when I felt pity for myself. There was a time when I felt bad for myself, but ultimately, I eventually came to the conclusion I need solutions. And so I continued to work with doctors and specialists and, with my illness, and continued to seek out solutions. I didn't let it just take over me. And once I started getting on some of the right medications, things really started to turn around for me. So if I had never tried to seek out those solutions, I would have never found the answer to my problem. And so being someone that doesn't seek out any solutions to your problems but just wants to complain about them all day, that's the victim, right? Okay, so it's a sense of powerlessness. Now, I relate to this so much because when I was at rock bottom, I truly felt powerless. It was extremely hard for me to even wrap my head around, who I was going to become and what I needed to do. It's almost like my future went black, and before I had always seen a bright future for myself. Before my diagnosis, I had always seen a bright, happy future for myself. And when my diagnosis hit me and my illness was debilitating and I was at rock bottom, I swear to you, I could not see the future. I could not see a better me. I could not see a better version of me existing. And when my husband, was really the leading force in my life to tell me, no, you're worthy of a good life. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of self love. You're worthy of more. And it really was the only thing that I clinged onto, as well as, like I've said many times before, what really got me out of that darkness was starting to work out. Once again, seeking solutions, starting to work out, move my body, get stronger. I wasn't going to let the illness just wash me out. I started fighting back, and by fighting back, that was me just going to the gym and working out so hard that I got those serotonin chemicals that I wasn't getting because I was depressed. And as I've said many times, working out is an antidepressant, and so by working out and by having that one person, it's so important who you choose to do life with, it's so important. If you pick the wrong people, you're gonna be the wrong person. If you choose the right people in your life, then they will be there and stick it out with you through all the hardships, and so sometimes it only takes one person believing in you to be able to use that as leverage to start believing in yourself, And for me, whether that's a sister, a cousin, a friend, a mom, a parent, a brother, having one person in your corner, it doesn't take much, but having one person in your corner is really all it takes to start realizing that you're worthy and that you're not alone, because I think when we hit rock bottom, we feel the most alone we've ever felt, when we stop seeing a bright future for ourselves, it's a lonely path. No one can get you out of that except for yourself, except for seeking the possible solutions, seeking the right medications, trying new things until things work. It takes a lot of trial and error to get back into a healthy place when you've been in a bad place, And so finding someone that you can do life with that truly believes in you, that can be your rock during hard times, that is absolutely priceless. So this is another one: negative self-talk and self-sabotage. Everything bad happens to me. I can't do anything about it, so why even try? I deserve the bad things that happen to me. No one cares about me. I'm going to highlight one of these. I deserve the bad things that happen to me. That one is huge. If you think you deserve bad things happening to you from some kind of guilt complex that's coming internally, you will attract bad things. You will manifest bad things in your life, If you have the mentality that I deserve this, that somehow, I grew up in a Christian cult, like I've mentioned maybe a little bit before, but the moral basis of that was that we're all decrepit inside. We all have horrible intentions. We are all sinners. We're all going to hell, and, you have to do penance and prove your worth to God and to other people. And if other people interact with religion in a more healthy way, let me know in the comments. But this was my experience, and it was very unhealthy and it was very toxic, and it created creates the guilt complex of I deserve bad things to happen to me because of my secret sin or because of my sinner, and I'm not talking about like real bad things that people are doing, I'm not talking about people being serial killers. I'm talking about regular people who have this guilt complex that really comes from a place of low self-esteem and insecurity, of feeling like inside they are bad and they deserve bad things. I talked to a friend, and because they grew up in the Catholic Church, they had a guilt complex that was basically leading them to partake in abusing drugs and alcohol in order to feel better, because they felt so guilty. And that was the main emotion, was this guilt. And guilt for what? They couldn't even pinpoint exactly what they felt guilty for, but they were feeling guilty for everything that went wrong in their life. And so, you got to be careful that, our inner world creates our outer world. And you got to be careful that you don't attract bad things into your sphere because you believe that you deserve that. You don't deserve that. You deserve good things. You deserve good things happening to you. If you're a good person, you deserve good karma. And if you put love and light into the world, I promise you love and light will come back to you, even if you go through dark times, even if you go through hardship. I'm not telling you your life is going to be easy, but I'm telling you, I believe in karma. And if you are a good person, good karma will come to you. The universe works in mysterious ways. Frustration, anger, and resentment. Frustrated and angry with a world that seems against them. Hopeless about their circumstances never changing, hurt when they believe loved ones don't care, resentful of people who seem happy and successful. I'm going to highlight two of these. So, frustrated and angry with a world that seems against them. I relate to that. When I was at rock bottom, I was frustrated. I had anger. I had pain. Why would the universe give me this illness? Why would the universe just out of the blue in my mid 20s just slap me with a severe disability? What was the purpose of that? Some things don't have really a why. Some things just happen in life, and it's our job in knowing how to deal with it. And there's times where you can go through frustration and anger. And when everyone was leaving my life during the hardest point of my life, I started to get angry at those people and frustrated at those people. But what I didn't understand was that this was a path that only I could go through. They couldn't come there with me. They didn't know what was going on inside of me. They didn't have the same illness. So it's like they couldn't really understand and empathize what I was going through because it wasn't happening to them. So that's when I say, when recovery and healing is a lonely road. It's lonely because you're the only one that can really heal. You're the only one that can face your deepest, darkest self and decide who you want to be. Because I was faced with my deepest, darkest self, and it was pretty intense. And I realized, this isn't the person that I actually want to be. This isn't who I've always been. This is the illness and the hardship that I'm going through that is creating me to be this bitter person that I'm truly not. And one of the things I wanted to highlight too is resentful of people who seem happy and successful. Man, that one is hard. When you're going through a hard time, misery loves company, and it's so easy to see people who don't have what you have, who don't have a disability, who don't have an illness, that are just living their best life, and you wonder, why did they get to live that life and I have to live this life? So I understand the resentment that can happen of people who seem happy and successful. And I've even had friends that that once I started getting better and started doing better in life and started feeling better, I had friends that started resenting me for being happy and successful. So I've had it both ways, and because they were resenting me, they were not happy with their life. So when people say people project, and whatever, how they treat you is really a projection of how they feel about themselves, it's 100% true. It's 100% true. People feel upset within themselves, and so they start resenting other people that are doing better than them, and that's toxic. That's unhealthy. And I realized that that was toxic within myself. That I was, and when I started to get back on my feet and started to get control of my illness and started working out and feeling better and feeling more strong and more capable, that was when, I kind of, those feelings kind of went away, the resentful, the feelings. And, there's times even with just choices that I've made because of my illness, that there's still times where I feel, why is this my life and other people get to live a normal life? But you know what? I get through those moments and I remember how blessed I am to even be alive when this illness almost took my life so many times. So it's kind of like you have to weigh the pros and cons and be like, I'm alive, At the end of the day, if there's still breath in my lungs, there's still a chance, And so I want to go with you guys. I want to go over with you guys before we end this video, the mentality of a survivor. All right. So the mentality of a survivor. A survivor mentality refers to a mindset characterized by resilience, adaptability, a strong sense of personal agency, and the belief in one's ability to overcome adversity, even in the face of challenging or traumatic situations. Essentially, focusing on finding ways to persevere rather than succumbing to victimhood. And it talks about resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and difficult experiences, maintaining a positive outlook even when facing challenges. It says adaptability, being flexible and able to adjust to changing circumstances quickly, making the most of new situations. Emotional regulation, managing emotions effectively, especially in stressful situations, to make rational decisions. Problem solving skills. So, once again, we heard with the victim that they didn't want to seek out solutions. With the survivor, actively seeking solutions to obstacles and taking initiative to overcome. And once again, with the victim, we saw the negative self belief. With the survivor, we see a positive self belief, having confidence in one's own ability and the conviction that they can overcome difficulties. And once again, the big difference, taking responsibility, accepting personal agency, and not blaming external factors for challenges. So this one is just huge because for myself, I had a troubled childhood, I had a lot of trauma growing up. But it got to a point when I fully developed my brain around 25, where I started making adult actions to take control of my life and to get away from the people in my life that were abusing me. And I took full responsibility for what my life would end up becoming. And I steered my own ship, I made my life about my career and about my creative pursuits. And, you see a lot of people who come from, broken homes or broken families or trauma from childhood or trauma that happened to them. And, they kind of blame everything that their life became on those things, and, it's one of those things where it's like at a certain point you can't blame everything on your parents or your abusers. It's valid to feel that they took something so important and so innocent from you that you'll never get it back in that way. But to continue to blame those people in your life for why your life isn't panning out, that is causing the victim mentality, you know? At a certain point, you have to take control of your life and be like, this is what happened. This is what I was out of my control. I had no control over this. But this is what I'm going to do about it, you know? And I'm not going to stop until I reach the goal that I'm, walking towards or running towards, you know? And so, at a certain point, responsibility is the only answer, because as much as those bad things that happened to you were out of your control, it's your responsibility in order to seek out healing and to seek out solutions. So I have a story of a friend who, had an abusive parent, and they were able to get away from the abuse and, get away from that abusive parent. But my friend actually went to therapy their whole life to be better for their kids, and is still in therapy, and so that, goes to show you that they took responsibility. They didn't just say, well, my parent was abusive, so I'm going to be abusive to my kids. They said, no, it stops with me. I'm not going to let that abuse continue into my lineage, into my legacy. And so, they chose to go to therapy. They sought out, no one made them go to therapy. They sought out healing. They sought out therapy. They sought out solutions to the brokenness inside. That's what it's all about. We cannot just lay over and give up and let life just wash all over us. We have to seek out healing. We have to seek out solutions. We have to be survivors and not victims. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I thought it was a pretty amazing topic, because I relate to it so much in my own life. And I will be back with much more.